Hi there. I'm going to do this quick video on late S Corp election. So many of us, as we analyze these taxpayers for their tax planning, we may look at entity optimization. So we have our single member LLC who have started to get past a certain amount of profit where we feel S Corp election is best for them. But let's say the whole year had passed, let's say it was 2020, and we were like, oh, wow, they really made so much money. And they already missed the deadline for the S Corp, which is 2.5 months after the end of the tax or of the current year. So March 15th of the current year of the year they expect to be treated as an S Corp. So we already missed that deadline. So here we go. We got to file a late election. So I'm going to show you how to properly fill out that form 2553 and make that election. And I'm going to share my screen and go right into there. So the IRS explains that you should file this 2553 and put this statement at the top, filed pursuant to Rev Proc 2013-30. That is the reason or the substantiation or the code ruling that says that I can file late. I missed it, and there were only a small number of reasons why I missed it. It's a good reason, and other than the fact that I'm filing late, I'm eligible to be an S Corp. That's really what that's saying. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to fill it out as if you wanted to be wherever, that as of what time you wanted this S Corp to be effective. You put your statement and then you go ahead and you fill it out. F1 says calendar year, unless you're changing something else, then there's more to do. But other than that, we're just calendar year. We're going to put the name and title of the officer. How many times I have a client put me there? No, I'm not the one you're going to call for information. This is your issue, Mr. Client. So the client fills it out. And, they pretty much take any reason, but you don't want to say something that makes sense or whatever. I tend to blame the prior one, the prior preparer or whatever. But you say, in this case, I just said the owners intended to elect S Corp status as of the date entered on line E. However, due to miscommunication with the prior accountant, the election was not made timely. You could say something like that, due to oversight, due to you just was misinformed or whatever. You put something that makes sense, or whatever the reason is why you missed the election, you didn't know or whatever. The entity meets all requirements to be classified as an S Corp except for the sole reason of not filing by the due date, and has acted diligently to correct the mistake upon discovery. You just sound like, oh, so sorry, but now we're doing the right thing. Now, some of you are going to say, well, this guy or this single member LLC was not on payroll, but there is a workaround for that. It's not the norm, and I don't want people to just do it, but I do it. And I tell you, it has never been a problem, because you want this taxpayer to immediately be on payroll if you expect them to be an S Corp. But I do a 1099 to kind of calculate that self-employment tax, because ultimately that's what the IRS wants. They want the FICA. And if you show that they paid the FICA, you'll be fine. I'm gonna not go into that too much here, because that's just gonna complicate it. This is just about the 2553. I'll do a separate video on a workaround if we do choose to do a late elect and we were not on payroll. Then you have the client sign it, but of course on page 2, all members have to say yes. So if it's more than one shareholder, they all have to sign and say, yes, I elect S Corp. And I'm not going to go into, all the limitations on an S Corp, but you can see, you only fill out O if they made a comment or they check box 2 or 4 in part 1, item F. You can go back and look at that. And then nothing else to fill out on that side. There's nothing really on page 4, but this is the late corporation election representations. They want you to specifically say all these things. So I just do a whole supplemental page and I just say all the things that they want me to say. And I've never had one say no to this S Corp election. Of course, if this taxpayer had been an S Corp before and it was revoked within the last 5 years, they're not going to be able to elect it again. And that's it. There's nothing really more complicated than that, but this will pretty much get your late election in place and your client to be accepted by the IRS.